Welcome everyone, I am the Prestior and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 19. So, not in a match right now. Mainly, I got one match this week and it was an easy win. My opponent had at least 7 mercenaries. Yeah, they had... Oh, actually, they had 8 mercenaries. They didn't have Bozel and they didn't have Sonya here, but they had everyone else. And they only had like a level 30 Covenant. So yeah, it was pretty uneventful. So I was going to go ahead and just use this video as an opportunity to try to go see what we could do with the box. Unfortunately, I haven't really gotten very many good tests with swapping in Elma, but if I want to try something different, I can always try doing some AoE rush type stuff, and we'll see what we got for that. So give me one moment. Alright, so here's just the batch of just general AoE characters for the most part. Obviously, there's some characters here can do AoE better than others, and some require some help, to say the least. Stuff on the top of the list generally is pretty solid on their own. Obviously, we got Ice Melody here, who can easily do some kind of move again, act again, with her poles and all that stuff, as well as be used to drag other units into range so you can actually follow up type situation. We got, of course, the Awakened one, who kind of has a little, can kind of do some setup on her own. She also can, more importantly, throw out spellbounds on the opposing side so they can't engage you, which is very, very useful. We got Virilia here, who can actually do a move again, act again as well. By herself, she generally has a little bit of trouble getting engaged, but it really kind of depends on your opponent. But in most cases, as long as you have some way to get her some additional mobility or an act again or a teleport, you can probably get her in range and then double AoE. She by herself, she can also self buff. She has a strengthen that she can put on herself, and it's a non-offensive move, so it will proc her act again, move again. So in most cases, what you'll see is she'll move up and get set up, and then you can follow up with either a act again from SGN or something like that, giving her additional mobility, run her in, double AoE, and kind of clear everything off. Bright Summoner, you've already seen Bright Summoner in action. So Light of Genesis actually has when I played Light of Genesis, I tend to focus on the single target aspect, but her talent is actually really good for AoEs because it reduces cooldown. More importantly, of course, she has access to act agains that she can play off of either her strengthen or her teleport. And of course, she has a teleport, so she can help get other units set up. Lucretia, I haven't really been using her, but she has extended range. She does have the doll that she can swap with. And kind of go from there. I think there's also been some... I think her recent inscriptions have done some additional things that she can do with the doll as well. Nemea can actually reach the opposing side and AoE it in the same round. Karika can get really extended range as long as you give her a round to set up, which is asking a lot nowadays in the meta. Gustav does actually have a move again, act again now built in through her inscription talent. As long as she does a spell on herself, which she can use her little rewind heal spell or whatever it's called to activate that. And then her AoEs do have some unique debuff aspects to them, which are pretty neat. Also, when her stuff is on cooldown, she doesn't get extended range, so she can definitely cover some distance. But she is kind of hard to work with. Lena gets extended range just flat out, and she gets additional mobility whenever she gets pissed off. I haven't really had much experience with Lena, so I don't know. I can't really say for certain how well I can actually play her. Like I said, the issue is you need something to trigger her to essentially get her going. Sword and Light Shadow does actually have an AoE that's actually pretty brutal that negates act agains. Also, she's great for following up. So if you bring in a combo I've ran into is Bright Summoner running in with her summon, and usually in most cases the opponent won't be able to kill both, and then you can just follow up with Sword and Light Shadow and go to town with that. Joe and Connie, of course, Biggest issue with Joe and Connie, of course, is the summon. That if that dies, it definitely hurts Connie's ability to do a lot of AOE work. That being said, if you do the summon does have a cloaking thing, so it will actually make it harder to target. Polyil can, of course, help speed things up for everyone else, and she does have a self-res, which also works really well. And then we got some faces we haven't seen for a while. Arian Rod can double action AoE, though nowadays it's been a lot more difficult to get that set up. And then was it Sakia? No, Sakura. I think it's Sakura. Let's find out. So Sakura is probably one I'm going to be dropping, but it was kind of interesting, kind of consider it. Where is Sakura? There she is. Yep, Sakura. Alright, so yeah, Sakura has the ability to first strike, and she does get a stackable buff as she gets kills, but those tend to not go really well in PvP because you either don't get kills or you don't last long enough to get those kills. She does have ways to get stacks through her 3C, but even then that requires her to be within 2 rings, or 3 rings if you're using the Balance Blade. And Hyaka Ryoran is pretty decent as well, but nowadays, since most people tend to be just rush and not tank push, having heal reversal is not as devastating. So I think for right now, I am going to go ahead and drop Sakura. Arian Rod, let's see what her thing was. So I believe it was, yeah, as long as she has, when her HP drops below 70%, she can take an additional action. And if she ends her turn in the danger zone, she gets additional a stackable buff that increases her mobility. Without that buff, her mobility is stuck at 3, 4 in this case with boots. So generally the idea is you try to get her HP as low as possible so you can take advantage of the carbon fibers, and then try to take advantage of Grand Cross, which will give her a bubble to survive a little bit longer, and kind of go from there. But again, that's that situation where it's like, okay, I need something to actually help me engage to actually get this to trigger. So I think for right now we'll drop Arian Rod. Obviously, we still need to get some other supplemental units into this. So let's see what we need. Well, let's help us get some characters that can help with engagement. Of course, we got Aka here, or Akaya. She, of course, gives +2 mobility and 30% attack and intelligence for 2 rounds. We got Auden Kelmo, who can set up the portals, which the portals are also really useful for limiting the opposing side's mobility, as long as they're not flyers. We got Patrice, or Patricia, I don't know how to pronounce it. Her gimmick is she can make it so allies can be her targeting point. Really good for anyone else that can actually rush and get to the end there. So yeah, I think I want to play around with Patricia. So let's get her in. I think I'm going to go ahead and drop... Let's drop... Not sure about Gustav. She does have decent AoEs. But I think we'll go ahead and drop... actually, I mean, Karika is usually the one I'm more concerned about. Let's drop Karika for now. Keep Auden Kelmo and keep this for now. Obviously, there's plenty of other AoEs. Obviously, we have characters like Chorus and things like that, but honestly, those ones don't exactly have any good way of engaging. Because the biggest issue for a lot of the casters is they have 3 mobility, and that's it. And in most cases, you're like, okay, well, my opponent can reach me at the end and just weaken me to a point where I can't really counter anyway. Let's see. Those aren't AoEs. Technically, you can get an AoE off of Isolde, but it's point blank. Mariandel can also actually get some pretty good range, and it's really easy to get her stacks maxed out. Alright, so, and then the other things I guess we can mess around with as far as support is concerned is we do have characters like Eshian who can give act agains. Same thing for Liana here. Give me one moment. And there's one other character that could be worth looking at, and that's Agnes. Not only does she has pretty long-range AoEs, she does provide some passive healing as well as some self-resing capabilities, or that she can give to other people. Granted, she has to also have her 3C to get rid of the debuff that comes with it. So let's see. Let's go ahead and drop Gustav for now, because right now we need engagement. Let's grab Eshian. Eshian has no AoEs, but if she puts a dash, an upgraded dash onto Aurelia, she's done her job. So what else can we play around with? I don't really want to bring in Liana. So everything else here is kind of okay. The only other one I didn't consider was Mariandel. And Mariandel can definitely do some work. So what is it from this? For every 2 stacks. Yeah, so she can get to 5 range with her 3C at max stacks, which isn't too terrible. She can also do a lot of passive, potential passive healing type situation. And it's really easy to get those stacks going. So out of anyone, she could be someone with potential there. Especially with something like Holy Dragon Breath. Yeah, those can actually reach, I think. I believe it works. Does it? Actually, I don't think it works. No, it increases skill span. Yeah, straight line skill A range increases by 1 for every 2 stacks. So yeah, so she might be actually pretty decent to work with. Like I said, there's a lot to pick. Obviously, the biggest weakness is if anything reaches me, I will die. But that's pretty much the gist of most things we're dealing with. Let's drop Joe and Connie. And we'll put Mariandel in for now. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Yeah, like I said, we have all these other AoEs, but a lot of them require setup. Girl in the Shell requires rounds to actually get up range and stacks. Rachel literally just doesn't have anything. She has literally nothing that can actually help her engage and drop her AoEs nowadays. Biggest threats, obviously, are people that ignore debuffs. Anyone that passively heals, anyone that can cover a lot of distance. So yeah, definitely want characters like Auden Kelmo and some others. So the other biggest issue is I have practically 0 experience with any sort of rushing box or any sort of AoE specialized box. I think I briefly tried it and did horrible. Granted, it was also a tank push box, but yeah, I think with this we at least have something to work with. We have ways to kind of, like, even if they ban certain characters, I should be able to at least go and grab certain others and kind of go from there. Because, I mean, probably the big ones they will want to ban first is probably this L shape here. Aurelia, the Awakened One, Sovereign of the Ice Abyss, Bright Summoner, and probably Namiya. Namiya is actually pretty devastating, even against tanks. Obviously, the other issue is any sort of tank push box, which seems to happen every time I switch over to AoE, as I go up against tank push boxes that have just an insane amount of healing. Which, if I have to encounter them, my first pick would have to be getting rid of Rosen Seal. If they have Rosen Seal and Elma, then I'm going to be in trouble regardless, and there's not going to be much I can do about it. Yeah, there won't be much I can do about it. I mean, I could kind of try to pivot a little bit and switch to like single target and try to win that way. But I'm willing to try this, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm already in Gold 3, and I'm gonna. My matches are either meta boxes that are going to destroy me, or it's going to be too easy for me to actually get a measure of what's going on. So we'll just goof around and see what happens. And if I miss a few weeks where I don't get the reward, that's completely fine. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Like I said, I do have the restriction where I'm only using female characters. with that in mind, I think this will work. I mean, I usually don't go super ultra specialized like this. Even my assassin boxes usually have at least tank and healers with it. So, like I said, I'm not exactly sure what to expect from this. But I'm just kind of scrolling through here just to see if there's anything else that really kind of stands out. I think the only other, like I said, the only other consideration was Agnes. Because honestly, having that passive healing and extra range could also be pretty useful. I don't know who I would replace. Probably Lena or Light of Genesis, maybe. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it for right now. Sorry, there's no match to show off, but like I said, it was literally against majority was Mercenaries, and they had some of their characters had literally like 8,000 health or something like that. They were in no condition to actually fight me. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. I am the Depressed Hero. This was Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 19, I think, something like that. And I'll see you guys next time.